Hey everyone, Jeff May here. Welcome to another episode of A Sculpted Life. This week we're going to be launching my brand new to me North Sea 27 sailboat that I purchased this last fall for its maiden voyage in Lake Pend Oreille. That's in the northern panhandle of Idaho, and it is one beautiful lake. All right, so I just arrived here at Farragut State Park boat launch, and it is an absolutely gorgeous day. I can't believe that this is October. You can look around. There's only a handful of truck and trailers. Mostly, my guess is just fishermen. But it'll take a couple hours for me to rig the boat since I'm by myself. So I just kind of parked out here in the middle of nowhere, and I think I might just take a walk down to the launch, or at least over to the hill here, and see how busy it is down there by the water. Oh yeah, the lower section's pretty full of truck and trailers, but once we get the boat rigged up, we should be okay. Alright, well, I finally made it in the water. It took me a little bit longer than expected, setting up everything by myself, but the first target for the evening is Buttonhook Bay. And Buttonhook Bay sits at the southernmost tip of Lake Pend Oreille, and it's basically like 42 miles long from Sandpoint all the way down to basically Bayview, Idaho. And so those two towns are the main towns. There is also another town called Hope, which sits in the northeast side of Lake Pend Oreille. But anyway, I'm going to get secured here for the night. My goal was to just get the boat in the water, and we just have to kind of wait and see how things go tomorrow. Having a boat has really been a dream of mine for quite some time. I spent the greater part of my young adult life working in and around the ocean in both sport diving and tourism. So it really feels pretty natural for me to kind of come back to boating. Now, sailboat is my very first one, so in fact this trip will be the very first time that I sail single-handed. But that's not really a big issue for me. I definitely kind of gravitate more towards kind of learning as I go, and so that's not really been that big of a deal. But one of the things that I really hope to gain out of having this boat is the ability to kind of go in and out of my studio, sort of experiencing nature, and potentially making some artwork that will eventually be cast into bronze aboard, and then maybe some shore carving expeditions, that kind of thing. So anyway, this is sort of a testing ground that I did in October of 2022, and I certainly have a lot to learn in a lot of different areas, including filmmaking. So bear with me as I kind of learn my way through this. It's absolutely stunning out here. Just went for a swim. The water's a little chilly, probably around 60, 62 maybe, but really, really comfortable. And there's just nobody out here. I'm in a little bay called Buttonhook Bay, or actually just outside of Buttonhook Bay, and on the south end of Lake Pend Oreille. And if you can see, it's pretty mountainous, pretty much around most of the lake. Not very good access to the shoreline, but it makes for a really beautiful setting for sure. Sometimes I come out here in the evenings, even when I'm not on the boat, and just kind of float around. It's such an inspiring place. I've been thinking a lot about sculptures lately, new ones that I want to do, and some of them are in clay, which will ultimately be made into bronzes, but others are in wood or wood and metal combinations. And so it's just nice to be out here. It's just such an inspiring place to be, trying to come up with ideas, and I don't know, I feel like as I get older, I'm like entering into a new season of life where I feel like I don't know, more like, what do you call it, retrospective, thinking about, you know, why I'm here and what I choose to do with my time. And I feel like I want to spend more time making art in a different way, and some of that is going to be traveling and mostly by boat, of course, but my particular boat is a sailboat, so that's going to make it kind of interesting in terms of my method of travel, and will require me to tow the boat to different locations. But a good part of this first season, I think, is going to take place here on Lake Pend Oreille. It's close to home while I figure a few things out with the boat, and while my kids are still in school and getting established in their own lives. So, yeah, pretty exciting. Lake Pend Oreille is truly a very special place. Not only is it the largest lake in the state of Idaho, it's actually the 5th deepest lake in the entire United States. As I said before, Buttonhook Bay lies at the foot of Lake Pend Oreille, and the entire bay itself is actually surrounded by Farragut State Park. And within the park, there are so many different things that you can do, from hiking to horseback riding and mountain biking, to frisbee golf, and I think they even have a ropes course. So there's something for everyone, and even though it has a lot of amenities, you don't typically run into that many people, so it's a great place to not really feel like it's crowded. The eastern shoreline of Lake Pend Oreille is pretty much all remote. There's a few communities that are sprinkled throughout, but for the most part, if you have a boat, you can find a part of the lake where there's just very few people. As I'm walking around on a lot of these trails around Buttonhook Bay, I'm just able to kind of reflect on some of the things that I've been doing with my carvings and even my own life. And so sometimes it's difficult to disconnect and kind of forget about your day-to-day things. And places like this can really help me kind of recenter my priorities and refresh my spirit. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little departure from some of the more carving related films that I've been making so far. I kind of hope to be able to do more things like this, not only for myself, but to kind of bring you guys along on the journey. Living a sculpted life is not always a pretty one, but I think it's one of those things that you can always strive to be your best and strive to do things that are also good for others. This trip takes place over a 2-week period of time in the fall of last year, and I really had a number of goals set in place, and one was to get to know the boat, make sure all the systems were working, and figure out what kinds of things that I need aboard and what things I could do without. And so in the next episode, we're going to be traveling about 6 miles to the north on the eastern shoreline of Lake Pend Oreille to set up a little carving camp. And obviously the goal there is to do some shore carving, and in that process I'll be trying to discover what tools I absolutely need and what ones I can do without. So I hope you join me, and we'll see you on the next one.